Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. Yeah, you know what it is. Hard worker, scrappy, unfiltered, and sometimes unhinged football content. Hard to explain, but you know it when you see it. Doing it daily our way. I don't know what you're talking about right now. Redraft and Dynasty Fantasy Football, we got you covered. You know their defense is ranked like 31st in the NFL? NFL draft prospects and rookies? Now you know you in the right place for that.
Absolutely.
All right, then stop saying it. Then we're done. And prop bets with my man JRich. Count that money, man. Now wipe the crust out of your eyes. Get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake your ass up with Ray G. You honestly are making absolutely no sense and you sound silly as hell. GMGP. The NFL season is over, baby. It's a wrap. Everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's a wrap. It's over. Champs, JRich. The Kansas City Chiefs got it done. Your boy's over here tired. Old GQ had a long night, Jay. I had a long night partying, having some fun in old Royce City, Texas. But congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl champs, and appreciate each and every view, each and every listener, each and every eye that's decided to wake up and tap into the stream today. I'm excited. We got a dope show. We got a lot of stuff that we got to talk about. Before we do anything, good morning to you, Garrison, Patrick in the building, Cold World, Marlon, Goat Rings, Hunter, Joe Green, Jimbo, Fizzle, Dollars, Gump. Got the DD fam in the building. Got to give a shout out to my man, Scott Connor. Make sure you go over to Destination Devy podcast feed, drop some content on the channel this morning, going through some rookie picks, roster construction series. Scott Connor, one of the GOATs in the Dynasty space. Make sure you check him out. And if you missed it, last night we did drop a 2024 Rookie Superflex ADP video on the channel. Shout out to JRich for the thumbnail, Spencer Rattler on that. We've done over 15 Superflex rookie mocks over in the Destination Devy community. Got to take a look at where these rookies are being mocked at it because it's rookie season, Jay. We're out of the NFL. It's over. How are you, my friend? Did you enjoy the game? Did you sleep well? How you doing, JRich?
Yeah, as you said, Ray, late night last night,
Late night.
but worth it, right? Worth it. I think my first question to you before we get into the game is, do you think it was better or worse than last year's game? Because last year's game had a ton of points. Both were phenomenal games, but this one, OT down to the wire, it was a great game. I honestly really enjoyed it. Started slow, lots of undisciplined play, penalties, turnovers, and you thought, just maybe, Ray, just maybe the Niners could pull it out, but the Chiefs got it done. It's one of those things, man.
It was a great game.
You knew it was going to happen.
Great game, Jay.
You knew it was going to happen.
It was an incredible game. I thought it was awesome. There was a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about a lot of that, but make sure if you're in the building, hit that like button, comment, subscribe to the channel.
Sir.
Somebody hit a thumbs down button before we even started. Man, run this shit up.
Wow.
All the haters out there, run it up. Yeah, what? Run it up. Run it up, chat. Run it up, family. We're going to dive into the game. Some of the top takeaways, some things that we may think may carry over into next season, Jay. But Patrick already hit the nail on the head, starting to stream off. He already said it, man. He said, Mahomes on that GOAT trajectory, Jay. Patrick Mahomes, let's talk about it, baby. I mean, Super Bowl champ again, JRich.
Yep.
Freaking again. Patrick Mahomes, yes, sir. Air horn that. Patrick Mahomes did it again. My goodness, Jay. What do you want to? Where do you even want to start? Because I just want to get right to it. I don't want to play around. No foreplay. You know what I'm saying? I just want to lay down and get straight to it. Let's get right to it. Here it is, Jay. I mean, it's right here on the screen. You got Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes through the first 7 years of their career. Here it is, Jay. Here it is right here. They both played 96 games, right? Quarterback record, 74 wins, 22 losses for Mahomes, 70-24 for Tom Brady. Completion percentage, I mean, there it is. Patrick Mahomes, 5 percentage points more. Passing yards, 28,000 to 21,000. Passing touchdowns, 219 to 147. Interceptions, fewer by Mahomes. I mean, everything is better from a statistical standpoint. Championships, they both had 3. Pro Bowls, Mahomes 6, Brady 3. All pros, Mahomes 3, Brady 1. AP MVPs, Mahomes 2, Brady 0 through the first 7 years of their career. And Super Bowl MVPs, Jay, 3 for Mahomes, 2 for Brady through their first 7 seasons. I mean, like, I don't think it's hyperbole to say if he were to quit playing today, he's a Hall of Famer, first ballot, Patrick Mahomes.
First ballot.
But that's low-hanging fruit, Jay. That's easy. I want to know, is he the best to ever do it right damn now?
Best to ever do it right now, we can't say that. We can't say that. He's the second winningest pairing, right? Mahomes and Andy Reid have the second most playoff wins in NFL history because now they are the only tandem behind Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, and of course Brady has more on top of that. To say he's the GOAT right now, it's, you're projecting a bit. If you want to say that, I can't hate on you.
The moment? Are people prisoner of the moment if they say right now he's the best quarterback of all time?
I don't think so. I think it's just early, right? We know it's early. But you laid out the numbers, you laid out the stats. He's been to the AFC Championship game every single year as a starter. Like, that alone is absurd. That alone is absurd. What is it? 4 Super Bowls, 2 AFC Championship games where they lost. Like, absolutely absurd. And it's funny because, you look at the records that Belichick and Brady have, and then you look and see that Andy Reid just passed Peyton Manning in playoff wins. Peyton Manning. First ballot, Hall of Fame, Peyton Manning, right? Passed him already, 7 years into his career. Like, it's insane to think about that. One, this is 7 years into their career, but Mahomes really did it in 6 years. And he didn't play his first season, right? So you think about it from that perspective, like, yeah, Brady came in and all that stuff, but like Mahomes didn't play at all his first season either. So I think if you want to say he's the greatest of all time, I honestly can't hate on you. Different eras, so you can look at the stats and say, well, different eras, things will change a little bit, but what he's done is undeniable. What he's done is better than what Brady has done in his first few years. And while Brady is probably always going to be the GOAT, because I don't think Mahomes is getting 8 championships, he's right there. He's right there. He's going to go down as the second best quarterback of all time, and you should just pencil that in, write it in pen, whatever you want, because it's going to be there.
You said who's going to go down? Mahomes is going to go down the second best of all time?
At worst. At worst.
Right? I was going to say, make sure you put that qualifier there. At worst.
Yeah, at worst.
I mean, what he's been able to do in these past 2 seasons, Jay, what's so impressive is last year was supposed to be a rebuilding year. They beat the Philadelphia Eagles. And this year, even going into the playoffs, I mean, we've done multiple shows on Bleacher Report, and I don't know. Buffalo's a little bit better. I think Baltimore's a little better team. This isn't the same Kansas City Chiefs team. For whatever reason, we kept saying that this was not the same. And you know what? That's fair. They're not the same. They're better because Mahomes is better. He's seen everything. He's been there. And if we're being honest, the beginning part of that game, he didn't play, but it wasn't looking good offensively. I mean, they were discombobulated. He didn't look comfortable from the pocket during the first half. Brock Purdy looked more comfortable in the pocket in the first half, but we talked about this pre-show. What happened, Jay? They just let the Chiefs hang around. They just hung around and hung around and hung around. And it was like, as a Cowboys fan, it felt like whenever like Aaron Rodgers gets the ball with like 58 seconds left and you're like, we're going to lose. Like, it just doesn't, you just know you're going to lose. Second half, man, they turn it around. He finishes the game with, I think what's crazy, Jay, did you hear the scripted ominous stat or fact from the game that Mahomes finished with 333 passing yards? The address to Allegiant Stadium is 333 Mark Davis Way.
Probably Al Davis Way, right?
Whatever. Al Davis, Mark Davis. I'm just saying, Jay, a lot of people think there's some good script writers there, but you can't make that up. But the point is, Jay, we're looking at our generations, and it's crazy because Brady just played football, 2 years ago, of Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, Serena, one of the Mount Rushmore. We did that episode a year or two ago, Mount Rushmore of sports athletes. I think we're looking at, they're already starting to get him a spot, right? They've got the stone, they got the thing, the easel or whatever, the chisel to get ready to start etching Mahomes' face and beautiful hair onto the side of Mount Rushmore because he will be there. He's one of 3 players with 3 Super Bowl championships, 3 Super Bowl MVPs up to this point in their career. I mean, it's just what he's been able to do is phenomenal. And I think we need to sit back and appreciate this while it's here, while it lasts. And from a fantasy perspective, I mean, all I can say is what's it going to look like once they get some more competent weapons around them? We saw Justin Watson missing passes, Marquez Valdes-Scantling running backwards at points in time in the game, Sky Moore helmet on the sideline, that failed experiment. But this is a team that should only get better, and Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion, is on the trajectory to be the greatest of all time. I'm not going to put him there yet. I still think let's not forget that Tom Brady did win 7 of them things. Let's not forget he did win 7 of them. And when he left New England, his first damn season in Tampa Bay, he won 1 of them. First damn season out of New England in the grasp of Bill Belichick. So I'm with you. At worst, he's going to finish number 2 of all time, but I think Mahomes has probably got another 2 or 3 damn Super Bowls left in him. Incredible player. Jay, anything else you want to say about Mahomes before we dive into the rest of the show?
I think it's just crazy to think about, like, youngest defense in the league, probably only going to get better. As you mentioned, the pass catcher is going to get better. It just comes down to, Ray, is how long does Andy Reid stick around? And we can get into that conversation as well, but I think that may be one of the great equalizers for Mahomes, because obviously phenomenal quarterback, but paired with such a phenomenal coach, clearly they are a match made in heaven. So when Reid and Kelsey decided to hang it up and Mahomes is still there, curious to see how that changes things. But Mahomes, obviously, like you said, 3 Super Bowl MVPs, one of 3 quarterbacks to ever do that with Joe Montana and Tom Brady. He's right there. He's headed the right direction. And I think overall, when you talk about GOATs, like, he's going to be there. And I'm curious because we're in an era where LeBron's going to retire soon and KD's going out the league. And, like, the NBA, in my opinion, is dying.
We've talked about this, man.
The NBA is in a bad state. But when you talk about the NFL, you have Josh Allen, you have Patrick Mahomes, you have, Lamar Jackson, all these quarterbacks. And per Aaron Chatsworth, I don't know if you saw this, the most difficult path to the Super Bowl ever per DVOA. The 4 opponents they face. And then you really think about it. The Miami Dolphins, the Buffalo Bills, one of the best defenses of all time statistically in the Baltimore Ravens, and then one of the best teams ever constructed in the San Francisco 49ers. Like, it truly is crazy. While the Dolphins were, a cupcake by the time they finally played them, still a great team. Obviously, the Bills were peaking at the right time, and they beat them. The Ravens were the best team in the NFL, and they beat them. And then the Niners were still a juggernaut out in the NFC, and they beat them as well. So pretty crazy to see what they did, and it really comes down to that defense, and at the end of the day, it's that bad man Mahomes, man. Like, you just can't take it away from him at all.
Did you see this from old Cowboys legend Troy Aikman? Did you see this from Troy? Jay, read what's on the screen. I can't see anything with these shades on, Jay. What does this say? What did Aikman say in 2019?
Talk to me when he has 33% of Super Bowl titles. Is that Tom Brady has 33% of Super Bowl titles right now?
No, it was Mahomes, they said he had like 33% of Troy Aikman's passing yards or passing touchdowns. So then Troy clapped back and said, holler at me when he's got 33% of my Super Bowl victories. And Troy Aikman. Yeah, that one didn't end well. Yeah, he's tied Troy Aikman already. Now, there was a loser on the other side, Jay. I don't want to get into there's so many storylines here. We don't need to go through the stats. We know the stats, yada, yada, yada. We all watched it. Let's talk about your boy Kyle Shanahan, who is revered as the greatest play caller in NFL history. What do we have here, Jay? A 10-point blown Super Bowl lead. What else has he blown? What else is on there?
Well, he's blown 2 10-point leads and a 25-point lead. And I believe, he's the only coach to coach in Super Bowls that went to overtime and lost both of them, right? So not only that, he's been outscored 29-74 in the second half and overtime in Super Bowls that he's been an offensive coordinator or a head coach of. Of course, he is 0 for 3. It's unfortunate, man. I thought he coached a great game for the most part. Like, I really do. But at the end of the day, I think what it comes down to is, and this is where, it gives the Brock Purdy haters some life, because it came down to the quarterbacks. Both were phenomenal. Both were great. But at the end of the day, it was Patrick Mahomes getting it done and Brock Purdy who couldn't score the touchdown. And it's so easy to look at it and say, well, having that better quarterback is what makes the difference. And that's probably true. But Shanahan, I thought, did coach a very good game. Very, very good. And to the point where even, you remember late in overtime, he called a timeout to make sure the defense was straight, because he didn't like the defensive play call. And so that really shows his involvement in the team and knowing how big the moment is. And ultimately, it didn't really matter what ended up happening because he was still going against Patrick Mahomes. But I did think he coached a great game. How did you feel about Shanahan, and how do you feel about this, knowing he's 0 for 3? Because what's that? I think So he's lost to Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes twice now. Which,
it just,
what are you going to do?
San Francisco had a hell of a season, right? They were clearly the best team in the NFC all year. This is just, it feels like, and I know you're kind of young, Jay, it feels like when the Bulls and the Patriots were just, you got to get through these teams. And it's just, you have to deal with Mahomes. You're going to have, this is coming. And Dre P said it in the chat. He said, what he said was a summary of the Super Bowl: game changer versus game manager. I tend to agree with Richie right here. Bad third quarter coaching. I believe they had a grand total of like 11 yards in the third quarter. It was something ridiculous like that.
They stopped running the ball.
Yeah, they stopped running the ball. First down, I know that the Chiefs know that you're going to run it, but damn it, Christian McCaffrey, Jay, I want to give you a lot of credit, my friend. About a year ago, we did a show, and you said that you believe Christian McCaffrey is the greatest running back of all time. You were just like, I think it's going to go down like that. And you watch him operate, and he's not the biggest dude. He's not Chris Johnson fast. He's not Derrick Henry size and power. But just his ability to move the ball down the field, the way that he's used out of the backfield in the receiving game, between the tackles. Jay, when you're talking top five, it's I'm not going to say the greatest ever, but it's hard right now to sit back today and say Christian McCaffrey's not a top five, is not going to go down as a top five running back of all time. I get it. Listen, Jay, I'm 37 years old. You just turned 30. I didn't watch Jim Brown play football. I didn't watch him.
Me neither.
I can go back and watch the highlights, and even doing that, it just looks like he's so much better than everybody else, right? It just looks like superior athlete playing against a bunch of guys that have, that are both beneath him. So I can't speak to that. But when you're talking Barry Sanders, Adrian Peterson, LaDainian Tomlinson, I got to watch a lot of Emmitt Smith, and I know he compiled a lot of numbers, and he was great early in his career, but those Cowboys teams were great with Larry Allen, with Jay Novacek, with Troy Aikman and the playmaker Michael Irvin. It's hard not to say Christian McCaffrey right now should not be viewed as a top five running back in NFL history, and he's still got a lot of life left in him, man. So it's I give you a lot of credit for that one. But that third quarter, man, stop running the ball. Feed it to McCaffrey. I'm not going to sit back today and blame Brock Purdy. I'll say this: he was not the reason why they lost the game. He was not the reason why. He was not the reason why they lost the game. And I thought he was locked in early in the game. He was locked in, making some nice throws, doing what Brock Purdy does. Brock Purdy is not Patrick Mahomes and never will be. They're just not the same type of guy. He's not the reason why they lost. But I'll say this: he also wasn't the reason why they were in a position to win. And when you're down there, you've got to be able to make those throws. Looked like he and Ayuk were all not on the same page on one of those deep throws, and he just missed one. But that's what happens during the course of the game. Ultimately, man, Shanahan is a loser. He lost again. That's 0-3 for Shanahan, and I don't know how we can continue to say he's the best coach in the league, best offensive mind, yada, yada, yada. When they needed to have it, didn't get it done, Jay. So where do the 49ers go from here? At least they roll into the offseason without having to worry about who their quarterback is next year. I think we can bed and put to bed and put to rest those kind of conversations. And the more that I think about it, I was listening to Ocho and Shannon Sharp last night on the Nightcap. We like to talk about these tiers from a fantasy perspective, and maybe that's a little different. But NFL, Mahomes and Hurts and Allen and Stroud and Burrow in tier one. Nah, bro. No. It's one. It's Patrick Mahomes. He is the best quarterback in football, period. Period. Patrick Mahomes, best quarterback in football. And then it's everybody else, whether that be Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, whoever you want to put there. I think Brock Purdy's cemented himself as a viable NFL starting quarterback, whether you call him Jimmy Garoppolo, souped up version of Kirk Cousins, whatever the case may be. And let's not forget, he still has yet to go through the full offseason as the starter. He didn't have any offseason last year because of the elbow. He was supposed to be out of the league and retired. Good season for him, but ultimately it never felt like the game was out of reach for one Patrick Mahomes. And it just goes to show, truck versus trailer. We have that conversation all the time, Jay. Patrick Mahomes is absolutely an 18-wheeler Mack truck. Brock Purdy is a high-end trailer. He's a nice trailer. It's a very nice trailer, but he ain't no truck. He's a trailer. And unfortunate, Debo got banged up. Kittle banged up, was non-existent in that matchup, Jay. But let's talk about your boy. Let's talk about your boy Travis Kelsey. Did you see old Kelsey and Andy Reid here early in the game? Kelsey bumps Reid, screams at him, all kinds of upset. Yep. Your thoughts here? They interviewed Kelsey, Berman and Booger, I think, or Booger McFarland, whoever else he sits up there on the booth with. Asked him what this exchange was about, and Kelsey just said, "I'm gonna keep that between us. You know, I was just telling him that I loved him." What were your thoughts on this interaction? I tweeted out to Dez. You know, Dez and I are tight, man. I tweeted out to Dez Bryant. I was like, "Yo, Dez, what would the media have said had this been you who had done this?" And he was like, "No cap, bro. You already know." AJ Brown tweeted some stuff out, Jay. If that was me, I'd be out the league. What were your thoughts when you saw this interaction between Kelsey and Reid?
It was interesting, right? It was a little bit more than you expect, even from Kelsey, but it is the highest moment, and it was because Reid took him out, right? He made a big play. They were right on the goal line. Tight end needed to make a block, and Kelsey wasn't there to make that block, and ultimately could have been the reason why the fumble occurred for Pacheco in the red zone. So you understand Kelsey's frustration to some extent. You know, these things happen, though, in football, especially early in a game. It's not late in the game. It's not, you know, a game-winning situation. It was, I believe that was still the first quarter when that happened. So, you know, you talk about, you know, the differences between when Kelsey does it and when another player does it. Definitely there's some biases there, but it was interesting and ultimately good thing for Kelsey because that would have been a even bigger narrative had they lost, right? Had they lost, he might have been vilified a little bit. And it would have been probably worse, as, you know, a lot of receivers are mentioning if it was another player. But because they won, you kind of just gloss over it. It happened. It was early. Emotions are running high. And I think he's going to be fine. But, yeah, it was definitely interesting because he pretty much knocked Andy Reid over. And Andy Reid is not a small man. And I think you're on mute right now.
Yeah, Kelsey was pretty pissed, man. He definitely almost knocked him over. Reid kind of stumbled. Didn't see him coming. It was just an interesting moment in the game. You know what I'm saying? Just a very How many players would be able to get away with that? What if that had been Antonio Brown? My God. And I get it. He's got a lot of other transgressions, but neither here nor there, Jay. I see a lot of people in the chat talking about the turning moment in that game, the turning point of that game, the muff punt. And it wasn't really even a muff punt from Ray McCloud. Let's be clear. It hit, I believe, one of the defensive backs on the ankle. He went to pick it up. It was a weird game. We were talking about a pre-show, Jay, because like at the beginning, it seemed like there were a lot of nerves there. Chris McCaffrey fumbles the ball. Yeah. Pacheco going in for a touchdown. He fumbles the ball. Just it was a Mahomes getting sacked left and right. It just was a very, very sloppy, nervous feeling game early on. But as they settled in, they came out after the halftime show and performance. Seems like both teams kind of found their legs, but it was a tough defensive game. And did you see the Dre Greenlaw Achilles tear? Dude, sucks, man.
And it was crazy too because it wasn't even on the field. It was like in between commercials. We find out this dude just blew his Achilles.
Well, he was
just
jumping on the sideline. He was jumping on the sideline to run in and went to push off that leg, and it just went. And you were there. Same thing happened to me when I tore mine. I didn't do anything crazy. I just planted to turn up field and run and pop the Achilles tendon. So I think that was
that's a big moment, man.
That was a big moment because if you see what happened, Fred Warner standing there like, what the fuck just happened? Like he's looking down like, dude, we're about to run on the field to play defense, and our starting inside linebacker that's a menace is on the ground, grabbing his leg. Just an unfortunate moment for Dre Greenlaw. So prayers up for Greenlaw for a speedy recovery. I know it's a tough injury to come back from, tough injury to bounce back from, but hopefully with the medical care and the professionals that are in that building, they get it done. They get it done. So, Jay, where do you want to go now? We talked a little Mahomes. We talked a little Kyle Shanahan. Talked a little Brock Purdy. What I want to know, Jay, what I want to know from you, from a fantasy perspective, what were some of the big takeaways from you from that game? And let's start with Travis Kelsey himself. Now, right now, last year, during this time last year, Kelsey was going top of the second round in underdog drafts. I mean, people wanted that Kelsey Mahomes stack. He was going 104, 105 in single quarterback drafts, single QB drafts. How you feeling about old Kelsey today? He won the Super Bowl. He said he's returning, so we got to take him at his word that he's coming back. How you feeling about Kelsey going into next season?
I think the thing that concerns me about Kelsey to this point is he's kind of turning into what Gronk was very late in his career. He's not necessarily going to be a regular season player all the time anymore, especially when you look at the draft. And all draft pundits have the Chiefs taking wide receivers, and that's going to probably take away a little bit from Travis Kelce. Not a lot. I still think he can still score double touchdowns, but I don't think he needs to be a guy who catches 100 passes every single year, who has 1,000 yards every single year. And he may just be a guy like we saw where he kind of fades a little bit at times during the season because it just doesn't really matter to him. But then when the playoffs come and it's winning time, 100 yards, touchdown, 100 yards, touchdown, 90 yards, right? Like, he was there. He was the playmaker for the team when they needed it. So I do think that's kind of what we're going to see out of Kelsey over the next few seasons. And now he was banged up, and to be fair to him, he missed the first game and he was banged up throughout the year. So maybe that may have been part of the reason why as well. But when you just look at it and you say, man, this dude's getting old. Like, he doesn't need to be playing all these snaps every single play in the regular season. And so if you're taking him, as the top tight end off the board, I might question that a little bit because we know Sam Laporta is playing every game. We know that Mark Andrews, when available, is playing every game. He's not coming off
the board as the top tight end. He is not. But when you're drafting, where should he come off? Let me ask you some names. Some would you rather? I think Sam Laporta, Trey McBride, Dalton Kincaid, and Mark Andrews. We can confidently say that you would prefer those guys to Travis Kelce going into fantasy next year. Correct? Those four, like for sure.
I don't know if it's for sure. I just think there's a converse because Kelsey. The thing with Kelsey is that I think he's going to score the touchdowns. McBride, okay, there's volume, but is there touchdowns? Even with Dalton Kincaid, there's still a lot of target competition there. But we'll see what happens with Stephon Diggs.
Right now, just one word answer: Laporta, Kelsey.
Man, I think I still want Kelsey. I think I do.
Okay, Andrews, Kelsey.
It just comes down to cost. I think I would make the case for Andrews.
Kelsey.
Andrews. I would make the case for Andrews.
McBride, Kelsey.
I think I would still take Kelsey.
Kincaid, Kelsey.
I would take Kelsey there.
Njoku, Kelsey.
The difference is
Njoku, Kelsey.
Did we get Joe Flacco at quarterback?
No, you got Watson.
Then I will take Kelsey.
So you still got Kelsey as tight end too. You still are rolling. I still think Kelsey is.
He's right there. It's just I don't think he's
Kelsey.
This first
Brock
round.
Bowers or Kelsey?
Kelsey. Where are you putting Brock Bowers? Where's his best landing spot in the NFL?
I don't know.
Is it the Chargers?
No, man. Everybody has him gone. They're not taking damn tight end Brock Bowers 5 overall. I'm not buying it, Jay.
Some people think that. I'm not there. I don't think he should be a top 15 pick.
No, he should be a top 15 pick, but he shouldn't be the 5th overall pick. No. I don't know if I got Kelsey as tight end 2 going into next year.
So how do you feel about it then? Because so who would you take over him? Because you seem to be leaning more on the volume that you expect from some of these very young second-year leap type guys. McBride a little bit longer than that, but you're expecting an ascension, right?
I'm expecting them not to be 34 years old like Travis Kelce. And Father Time is undefeated. This ain't no slight to Kelce. He's a first ballot. First ballot should be unanimous Hall of Famer. There should be no Hall of Fame credentialed person that has a vote that does not vote him in 100% on his first time. So this is not no shade or slight to who Travis Kelce, the player, is. But yo, man, at some point you will slow down, dog. At some point it's going to happen. And when you look at Kansas City, Jay, I think one of the biggest areas that they have to improve is they need more weapons around Mahomes. And it's crazy to say that as they just won back-to-back. I get that for it. They just won back-to-back Super Bowl titles. No Tyreek Hill, no true number one. Running back that they got off of waivers, literally. They paid $12
they got Miko, too. They got Miko from the Jets.
Every
this
year.
Season.
Go look at Mahomes' 3 Super Bowl victories. There were 3 improbable stars. Damian Williams in the first one. You got Sky Moore scoring a 4th quarter touchdown last year versus the Eagles. And then Miko Hardman.
Tony.
What the? Hardman?
Led the team in receiving behind Travis Kelsey.
No Pacheco touchdown. No Kelsey touchdowns. You got Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Miko. When he caught the ball at the end, he didn't even know he won the game. Mahomes said in the post-game interview, he was like, the awareness level was on 0. He scores a touchdown. He's kind of like, oh, shit, I caught it. I scored. And Mahomes was like, we just won the Super Bowl. I think we were all kind of shocked on that last play, but
same play.
Listen,
2 years in a row.
Kansas City's got to add some weapons, man. They got to. Justin Watson, he did his job. MVS did his job. They've got to add some weapons, Jay. They've got to just receivers. I don't know what they do with the backup tight end. Maybe it's Noah Gray. Maybe they got to find somebody. But you've got to continue to stack weapons around this defense that I believe is the youngest starting defense in the NFL.
Youngest defense in the NFL. And could get younger, right? Because they could lose. I think it's like Drew Tranquil and Chris Jones and like a bunch of guys. L'Jarius Sneed is another one. They're pending free agents. So the Kansas City has to figure out what they're going to do to either bring some of these guys back, let some guys go, and manage the cap situation. But yeah, youngest defense in the league this season and could be even younger potentially next season, depending on what they decide to do and who they have to bring in. But I mean, this defense is going to be good for a long time. But Ray, I do have to ask you, because you've been doing a lot of mocks, a lot of drafts.
Yeah. I'm doing a lot.
Who do you think is the best fit, and try to factor in, some draft capital here and what could actually happen for the Kansas City Chiefs? Who do you think they should draft? Because they are now officially at 32, and they are not on the clock, but they are going to have to make a big pick and probably going to go wide receiver. Who would you pick if you were the GM of the Kansas City Chiefs?
It's tough, man, because in my opinion, there's 2 elite superstar caliber players in the class, Marvin Malik, and then you've got another potential star in Rome Odunze. I love Brian Thomas Jr., but I don't think there's a chance in hell he falls down to 32. So you're probably in the Xavier Worthy, Adnan Mitchell, Troy Franklin, Keon Coleman, Ladd McConkey range. Like if those guys don't get selected ahead. So that's where you're kind of living at for Kansas City. If it were me, Jay, I would not, if Kelsey is coming back, go get me Mike Evans. Go get me Mike Evans. Like flat out. Give me Mike Evans over any damn Keon Coleman, Xavier Worthy, and I know that's a small window, but that's what Kansas City's probably operating in. If Kelsey's 100%. Back, let's operate in this. Let's get it done next year, right? Let's get it done before Houston gets better. Let's get it done before Cincinnati figures things out. But let's stay in this window. And what that would allow you to do, Jay, you get Mike Evans. You don't have to spend your first round pick on that middle to back half of the second tier of wide receivers in 24. You can still invest in the second, third round. There's going to be plenty of players that you can be able to grab to develop as wide receiver options. But I don't know if any of those guys at the back of the first round or immediate plug-and-play type options. And I think that's what KC needs. They need somebody that's going to be able to – you see what Mahomes wants to do, Jay. He wants to push the ball downfield vertically. He wants to stretch the field. It's not really Rashee Rice's game. He can get down the field, but he's more the yak guy, the short, intermediate targets, yak, big body. I think the future is bright for Rashee Rice. Let's get that clear right now. The future is very bright. But give me a guy that I can drop in at X tomorrow and say, go get it. You put Mike Evans on that squad, I mean, literally, just that one player changes life for the entire offense. For Pacheco, for Kelsey, who's an aging veteran, for Rashee Rice, and then you backfill with some rookies down the line. So in my opinion, what I believe the Kansas City Chiefs need to do is go sign a veteran free agent. Prioritize Mike Evans. There's a lot of rumors that he is going to be a hot commodity on the open wire. I would rather
that's
Mike
why
Evans.
I'm worried about the money, right? Can they afford to pay him what he will demand? And not just from them, but other teams as well on the open market.
What's Mike chasing is the question. Mike's already
25, 26.
Well, I'm saying, what is he
he'll ask for some money.
He's already got a chip. He's already got a Super Bowl.
And he has a ring too.
That's what I'm saying. So is Mike just looking for the payday? If Mike Evans is just looking for a payday, maybe that's not the spot. But if he's chasing another ring, if he wants to be a part of that Mahomes legacy dynasty, then that's a separate conversation. But I mean, like you said, he's already got one. So who knows what somebody in the chat, KS scientist or rapper says, DeAndre Hopkins.
He's under contract, I believe, though, for next season.
The only reason he feels like a redundant asset. I'm looking for something a little different than Rashee Rice. Both of those players, Nuke and Rashee, they do
at
similar
this stage
things.
in his career, yeah.
Yes, at this stage in the career, I think they need
He's going that Larry Fitz route where he goes inside and he cooks. Outside, he's kind of just a good receiver, right?
Yeah, that's.
But Evans would be a massive upgrade, and then I think they can get MVS off the books. But yeah, I think if it was the draft, they'd need to go with one of those deep threats, whether it's A.D. Mitchell, whether it's Troy Franklin, who probably will still be there. And then I think the question is X worthy there? Because that was the guy that Matt Miller had mocked to the Chiefs, and he would really, really make a big difference on that defense. Or to the other defenses.
I don't think I don't think any of those receivers in the back half of that tier of rookies, I don't think any of them are better than Rashee Rice. None of them, right? And then they're definitely they are 100% not better than the Mike Evans, T. Higgins. I don't even know about T, man. T be in and out. Give me somebody that I can depend on week in and week out.
T wants the bag too, because he hasn't been paid yet, right?
He wants the bag.
He wants a lot. He'll want a lot of money.
Yeah. I would say Mike Evans for me, Jay. Let's pivot to the other side of the ball. Let's talk about Brock Purdy for a little bit. Let's talk about Brock. I don't know where he's being valued at. Let me pull up his KTC value, but let's talk about Brock Purdy real quick, Jay, and what's next for him after this loss, because no, he didn't play bad at all, but he's catching the heat regardless because it's Brock Purdy. He's going to catch that fire. And you know what? You should. I mean, you're the quarterback. You lost the game. We're not gonna make the excuse because you're Brock Purdy, and we're not gonna. Nah, man, he should catch some heat, man. He should catch some heat. But right now, he's sitting here as QB 12 behind T-Law, Kyler Murray, Jordan Love, Anthony Richardson, Burrow, yada, yada, yada. He is ahead of Dak Prescott, Tua, Justin Fields, Jared Goff. How are you feeling about Purdy, fantasy-wise, rolling into 2024 as one of your quarterbacks? And let's just, the assumption here is super flex. But how are you feeling about your Purdy shares? Because I know you got quite a few of them.
I feel good, right? I think the biggest thing for me was, could he hold his value throughout the whole season, right? And that was the biggest question is, you go into the season, you say, okay, he's my QB2. I feel good about it because he's on a great team, probably going to put up a lot of points. But can he retain that value? Because there was ups and there was downs, and there was times when we did think maybe he's not the guy. Maybe they could look at making a switch, but obviously he wrote the ship, got away with the Super Bowl, played great. I still think, though, to some extent, Ray, if we're playing the Dynasty game, you're going to keep him because of what he can do for me from a fantasy perspective. But if you're playing the value game, how much higher can he really go? And do you care?
Well, I think Adam hit the nail on the head. I think Adam hit the nail on the head. He said, can we admit what Brock is? He's a solid but low-end QB1. I think that's the range that he's going to live in. I think that QB high-end,
he's probably
QB9,
not ahead of Murray.
QB9.
Maybe he get ahead of Love.
I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. High-end QB8, QB9 to QB14. And
Caleb's
here's
not
the thing.
in here yet.
Well, that's what I was just about to say. No Caleb, no Daniels, no May. All three of those are going to be valued higher than Brock from day one. But here's the beauty, right? The beauty is he's probably a back-end QB1 that's priced like a mid to lower-end QB2 or mid QB2. So
mid to high-end QB2.
That's just value that you can get. But I agree with Adam's point there. And then here's another interesting one from Kevin, Jay. Shanny couldn't get Ayuk open. Debo isn't a real wide receiver, and WTF is a George Kittle. Let's talk about it, Jay. I mean, I was texting with my dog from the Draft Network last night, Damian Parsons. Shout out to DP. Shout out to my dog DP. Was texting with him last night after the game. The only thing they do with Ayuk is he runs dig routes. That's it. Dig routes and 9 routes. If he's not running a deep dig or a 9 route, they just can't get him the ball. Deebo Samuel is awesome, Jay. He's a fun player to watch. But my God, I mean,
he pulled his hammy though. Come on.
He came back. What's Kittle at this stage? I don't know. This is my thing, Jay. Shanahan, what are you doing? How the hell does Kittle not have a catch? Why is Brandon Ayuk not being fed? Like, what is, you know what it feels like, Jay? I'll tell you what it feels like, Jay. You know what this QB, head coach, love affair, yet lack of throwing feels like? Think the 24 class. Think about the 24 class. What does this feel like? QB.
Not Bo Nix.
Not Bo Nix. Come on. Greatest
QB,
college
lack
quarterback
of
of all
throwing?
time. They just won a championship. He's the greatest college quarterback of all time.
JJ McCarthy.
I'm sitting back and I'm thinking, all right, you got all these weapons. You got Brock and you got all this faith and confidence in him. Yet there are a lot of times where they just don't let him throw it. They don't let him throw the ball. And I know he threw the ball 30 plus times, but he wasn't throwing it. You know what I'm talking about. Pushing the ball downfield.
I mean, he wasn't, but he did. Okay, but think about it from this perspective, right? Shanahan dialed up 2 touchdowns. Both were ruined by Chris Jones. And you can't, he can't do any more than that, right? He can't do any more than Ayuk. That probably should have been a touchdown. It was a little long from Purdy in my perspective, but when you see Ayuk kind of pull up and stop running, you're like, dude, this is a play to go down the field.
Yes.
So it may have been a little long because it's hard to judge because Ayuk's pulled up. And then the Debo touchdown, Chris Jones just wrecked that play. That's where you get to Mahomes versus Purdy. That is a play that Mahomes can make and has made with a Chris Jones type, a elite defensive player of the year in his face, and can still make that throw with his arm talent. Brock Purdy, you do not expect to make that play. He may from time to time, but that is really the difference between Mahomes and Purdy. When you have both those C's are great, drawn up shot plays, you talk about Debo. Debo had 11 targets in this game, and some of them were very tight coverage, some of them were very contested, and he didn't make a play. But you look, it was a lot of McCaffrey and a lot of Debo. I think that's the way you want to play against Kansas City. So I think that Shanahan did a good job. And you talk about not pushing the ball down the field. He did. It just didn't work out. There was a couple reasons why, and you can kind of point to those reasons. But he at least got the ball down the field, which is his only job, right? Sometimes it's harder than others, and he's not going to make every play. But I think the plays they called worked. It's just they couldn't actually make it happen, unfortunately. That's the difference, right? That's the difference, is making plays and not making plays. And sometimes it comes down to is his player is better than our player, and literally Chris Jones wrecked multiple plays that
Chris
game.
Jones
multiple plays.
He talked about it on the postgame. He was like, yeah, they didn't decide to block me or they were doing this. He was just like, I was shocked too. I don't know, man. But when Juwan Jennings, when that's your third down draw up, and I get Juwan Jennings had the game of his life.
It was a great game.
He had a great game. I'm not drawing up a third down play for Juwan Jennings. The ball has got to go to McCaffrey. It's got to go to Ayuk. It's got to go to Kim.
I hear what you're saying, but it worked every time. That really is Shanahan saying, we have faith in our guy.
40, dude. It wasn't like it was working like that, dog. Not to that degree.
It worked. But if you need Juwan Jennings to go for 10 and 100, what are we doing here, right? I think that it was timely and it worked every time. And he still threw the touchdown to McCaffrey too. So it's I get what you're saying, but it worked. They were good play calls.
All right. So whose fault was it then? Is it Purdy's fault or is it Shanahan's fault?
Man,
or is
it's nobody's fault. They lost to a better team and a far superior quarterback and coach. You can't look at an OT loss where you did put points on the board, you won the turnover battle, and you still lost the game. Yes, there was mistakes. Talk about the third quarter, the lack of running the ball in the third quarter, especially after the interception. So, there are things you can point to, but you won the turnover battle. You played pretty solid defense. I think, the one area you look to is they couldn't contain Mahomes. Mahomes led the game, led the team in rushing. He had more than Pacheco. But, those are small things that are going to happen when you play Mahomes. The Chiefs won the game. That's just what it is. I know you can look to Shanny, but I think the Chiefs just outright won this game.
Christian McCaffrey is going to be 28 years old going into next season, Jay. And a lot of times you see these running backs start to decline once they hit that 28-year-old season. What do you think about Captain America, Christian McCaffrey, man? What do you think about him going into drafts next year? Dynasty value-wise, he's fourth behind Gibbs, Bijan, and Breece Hall. And that's probably that's fine, right? Dynasty, you're thinking at least a year or two down the line. Redraft, though. Are you right back? Because they're running it back. They're going to have this same team at least for one more season. It's going to be the same squad. You feeling good about Christian McCaffrey for your fantasy leagues in 2024?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's funny when we were talking best ball last year and I was like makeshifting these power rankings and stuff.
Yeah.
And I kept telling you, Christian McCaffrey is like way the hell at the top. Like, it's not even close. You see Jefferson going number 1 because of, the stacks and the correlation and all that stuff. And you see Chase up there. It's like, maybe we should just take Christian McCaffrey because he's the best running back in football. He's going to score a crap load of touchdowns, led the league in rushing this year, led the team in rushing and receiving in the Super Bowl. Like, there's not much more this guy needs to do to prove to people he's the best running back in football. Like, he is the best running back in football. He's probably the best fantasy asset that will be next season. I understand maybe you want to go another direction, but like, he should be the 101 in every single fantasy league.
Scott and I, we've done 20 way too early FFPC best ball drafts. He's coming off the board 101, pretty much consensus, no later than 102, right? If somebody gets spicy and takes a receiver. Underdog, he's 101, 102 off the board right now in the early big board super flex draft. So he is coming off the board as the 1. So I'm with you. I think he is he's
now
awesome.
You see people bringing up the OT rules, right? You brought that up on the screen. We didn't mention the OT rules. That's the one area. That's the one area.
I didn't even know what was going on. I saw somebody say, why the hell did they take the ball first? I didn't even realize the change in the postseason OT rules. So you said that there was a report that the 49ers hadn't even practiced this?
So shout out to The Ringer. The Ringer, they did talk about this, and they interviewed, I think, Juszczyk and a few other players. But basically, people understand, right? If you whether you watch the game or not, the rules are basically both teams are going to get a possession, even if there's a touchdown, right? So it's very similar to what you see in a regular game. Opening kickoff. Do you want the ball or do you want to defend? The reason why everyone's saying you want to defend is because then you control your destiny. You know what you have to do to match the other team, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown or whatever the case may be. You know exactly what you need if you go second. Same as the college rules, right? In college, you don't want to go first. That way you can go second to try and win the game. And so the reports from The Ringer were basically the Chiefs from training camp. Now, these are the Super Bowl champions, so they're much more experienced. They understand that if you want to play in a Super Bowl, you have to prepare for a Super Bowl. And so the Chiefs in training camp went over the new OT rules, so everyone understood them. And they apparently talked about them almost every single week to make sure everybody knew if you won the toss, you kick the ball off, you defer, and if they score a touchdown, we go down the field, we score, and we go for 2 to win the game. That was exactly what was reported by The Ringer. And then you go to the San Francisco side, they didn't talk about it. Juszczyk didn't know. He was unaware. He didn't realize it was very different from the old system. He thought it was the same as regular OT. So if you went down and scored,
how do you not know though? I mean,
that's championship preparation. That's championship DNA. That's what it is. That's the difference. See, that's the margins.
I kind of, at first I had agreed with Colin right here. Defense had just been on the field, right decision to take the ball. That's what I was thinking initially. I was like, oh yeah, give their defense a break. You don't want to throw them right back out there and have Mahomes just do. That's what I thought initially. And then that's when all the stuff started coming out about the damn overtime rules. That story sounds like more Chiefs. If you score,
you still get the ball back.
Yeah, okay. Well, check it out, y'all. We have to pay the bills here at Destination Devy, and one of the ways that we do that is through sports betting. So I'm about to bring my good friend, Mitch Carl. Y'all know who he is, DFS and Donuts on. He's going to be here just about every single week for a couple of minutes to give us some dope plays that you can use on Prize Picks, whether you use the sports books. And listen, football is over. Jay, I don't know if you saw my picket yesterday. Old GQ was I needed that OT. I needed that overtime, Jay, because there were a lot of gut feel bets that almost wrecked
the old gut.
I was about to have to do a lot of live streams to do some ask for some super chats to make some of that money back. But each and every week, we're going to bring Mitch on. He's just going to come in quickly, give us a couple of plays that we can use, because I know some of y'all degenerates out there are big-time gamblers as well. You can find him on X at DFS and Donuts. You can follow him on Twitter. He's posting free stuff. He's got a dope YouTube channel. So, Jay, I'm kicking you off for a couple of minutes. Bring in Mitch on, and then we're going to talk some prop bets, and then we'll get back out here and kind of wrap the show up with some chats from the crowd. So let's bring Mitch in the building. Mitch, how you doing, baby?
Good morning, Ray. Thanks for having me on. Jay, sorry for replacing you, man. You're definitely the better looking, but I got to do my job. So
appreciate it.
Thank you to the Wake Up Show for entering me in here, and I appreciate you. And listen, chat, if you got one quick question or two to fire off before I dip today, maybe I can get to one before we bounce. But I love a couple bets for you today. I'm going to make sure I line your pockets.
Well, let's go, Mitch. Who we got, baby? Who we got? Who we looking at today in the NBA? What we got?
Yeah, Tyrese Halliburton. So he's back. He's looking healthy. He's played 30-plus in 2 of the last 3 games. One of the games, he only played 27 minutes. That had everything to do with it being a blowout. Essentially, if the game is even slightly competitive, he's going to play 25-plus minutes. Why does that matter? At 25-plus minutes, Halliburton's averaging 12.5 assists per game on the season. The issue here is right now, I posted this earlier this morning. The line has now moved to 11.5, and you're getting it at plus odds. Now, here's the deal. If you're on sportsbooks, most books allow you to take an alternate assist line. So what you can do, and I just looked it up for you, you can go take Tyrese Halliburton over 10.5 assists for an alt line. It's like minus 150 on DK.
Let's go.
And then you're going to parlay it. Oh, yeah, party horn. Then we're going to parlay it with Kawhi Leonard, 2+ assists. That's another alt line. Now, Kawhi Leonard at 2+ has been a lock and load juice cutter option all season. What I mean by that is anytime you find a juice line like a minus 150, a minus 160, and you still want to play it, you can go grab Kawhi Leonard and say, all right, I think he's going to have 2 or more assists, and it's going to cash you out because he's done that in 45 of 47 games this year. Literally has only missed twice, and one of them was a shortened game because of an injury. And that comes out to a minus 117. So go ahead and enjoy that one. And Ray, I do have a second here. Let me go ahead and talk about RJ Barrett if you're cool with that.
Well, talk about RJ then. So real quick, we got Tyrese Halliburton. We got Kawhi Leonard on a parlay. Let's run that. I like that. Hallie has been money. And like you said, Kawhi Leonard has been dope. And I love the alt lines. But talk about RJ Barrett really quickly.
Oh, yeah, you don't have to outline this one. So you can go 2 routes. First one, you can go the over 9.5 rebounds and assists. Now, everything boils down to some players in the NFL who have enough talent, opportunity. Opportunity equals minutes. Minutes equals production. RJ Barrett's one of those guys. Maybe not a superstar level or even all-star, but he's underneath the all-star level. He's right there. He's a good player. And he can pad a lot of different stats. Yeah, it depends on who you ask. It's
it depends on,
think. So RJ Barrett stat padding can get us there. At RAs at 9.5, what that means is rebounds and assists. I think he can get 10 today. So you can take that one. Even's been bumped on Price Picks. I don't mind that. But if you want to pivot, just pivot simply to his over 31.5 points, rebounds, and assist line, which has much better odds. You can get that all the way down to minus 115 on FanDuel. The rebounds and assists is a little juicy, so you have to make your decision, plant your flag on what you believe in, what you want to do, if you want to sip the juice, and go with either. I think they're both fine options. He's been smashing the over with him playing alongside Quickly and Scotty Barnes when he's played 30-plus minutes. He's hit the over on the rebounds and assists in 11 of 13 games, and he's hit the over on the PRA in 9 of the 13 games that they've shared the court. And the matchup today is tremendous against the Spurs. They give up the 5th most assists, 2nd most rebounds, 2nd most points per game. They give up the 4th most threes per game. So Barrett, as long as he plays the minutes, the matchup is delectable, and I like the upside across the board on virtually all his props.
Mitch, how'd you do on NFL yesterday? Just curious, man. How was it? Was it a good day? Was it a good day in the NFL for the old Dubclub with the people over there at the Discord?
So I had 7 parlay slips across all those pick 'em apps everybody's obsessed with. All 7 cashed. I went 5-1 on my sportsbook picks, and I only missed a single prop the entire day, and that was Kelsey needing 25-plus yards in both halves. And then I had some live bets that I cashed out on Twitter, so thank you for mentioning the Twitter. It was a very, very solid Sunday.
Well, there it is, Mitch. Appreciate you coming in. Thank you for joining. You can find Mitch at DFS and Donuts on Twitter. Type in DFS and Donuts on YouTube. Go join the Dubclub. Mitch, get out of here. Go find some more plays to make the people some more money. Thank you for being here, baby. Love you.
Take care, guys.
All right. That's Mitch Carl, JRich. It's your boy, RJ Barrett. Your boy.
You're talking mad shit about RJ Barrett. He's been so much better since he left the Knicks, and still you out here with the disrespect.
Well,
out here with the disrespect on RJ.
JRich, I want to wrap up talking about probably the highlight of the Super Bowl for a lot of people, man. Or maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. But did you see this, man? Did you see this image here?
Yeah, I did see that.
Usher, I tell you this, man. If Mrs. GQ was an entertainer, I'm all for it, man. But this is an intimate pose. This is Usher. They look very happy during this performance. What were your thoughts on the old Super Bowl 58 halftime show?
It's funny because I was kind of in and out because we were working on the thumbnail when it was on, but Rhea was with me and she was literally like, are they dating? Like, they're getting a little close. And so I turned around and I was like, oh my God, like they are looking a little close. So it was interesting. Did you
like the Usher? Did you like the Usher? This is my thing.
So I think I'm a hater, but
you are a
I'm
hater.
not. I think I'm a hater. I think I'm a hater.
I told my wife this shit last night. First and foremost, none of y'all even remember any damn commercial that happened last year. You can't remember one. I'll give you $100 if you can name a commercial from last year, JRich. Give me a commercial from last year.
You don't know. I don't know where we're going with this, but
you sat there. These commercials suck. This halftime. Who was the halftime entertainment last year? Do you remember?
No, I don't. I don't remember. No, because the
Usher was just okay.
Yeah.
This is
the Dre one was 2 years ago.
Exactly. No one.
So who was it last year? Do you know?
The hell if I know. I don't even know, Jay. But I'm not going to be one of those people that sit there and this perform. I thought it was an entertaining halftime performance. If you don't listen to R&B music,
it was Rihanna last year. Come on,
you didn't know that. Come on. If you don't listen to R&B, you probably didn't like it. And here's the problem: everybody, you got hundreds and hundreds of millions of people watching this damn thing, and everybody's musical genre is so different. It's going to be difficult to satisfy everybody, right? You can bring up Taylor Swift, and then you'll have a million other people who say, I don't know 5 Taylor Swift songs. So I'd watch it and be like, not my cup of tea. For me, in my era, what the music I listened to, I thought that was an incredible halftime performance. I'm 37. I'm from R&B land. Grew up in the 90s, baby, when R&B was R&B. I thought it was a dope halftime show. And the commercials, man, the Dunkin' Donuts one with Ben Affleck, J-Lo, Tom Brady, Mark Wahlberg.
Funny, yeah.
That was pretty damn funny. That was pretty funny. I thought that was a good one, Jay. But your thoughts on the halftime show?
Yeah, like I thought it started slow, which was okay, and then it got better. So I would say, I started around a 4 out of 10, and it probably got up to about a 6. I thought it was pretty good, but I'm not a big halftime show guy. They got to kind of rush through the songs, and I get all of that. But I think he tried to fit in more than I would have done, but it was good. It was good. He did a good job at the end. It started slow for me, but he got there. So I thought he did a good job. I'm not a big halftime show guy. It doesn't really do it for me.
All right. It's 9:00. We got to get out of here. Let's see what the chat is saying. Give me some music, Jay. Get us some music before we get out of here. Give us some music. Usher was good. Brought me back to 2005. Thank you, Colin. JRich was like 5 years old in 2000. He was 12. Yeah, thank you. Christopher Davis. Yes, Usher crushed it. Thank you so much. Been listening to Usher 2/3 of my life. How damn old are you, Anthony? I have no clue. Pushed up for the C+ because of Taylor Wolf just hating on Usher.
The roller skating was pretty dope, though. Did you see that tweet that someone said Usher can sing and roller skate, but Dre Greenlaw can't walk on the field?
Stop!
Oh my God.
Stop. Super Bowl's in New Orleans next year, Jay. We might have to make a trip down there.
We going.
Anything you want to say to the people before we get out of here, baby?
Nah, man. I'm excited. The offseason is officially here. DD content is heating up. So hit the like button, subscribe to the content, and we'll see you guys next week.
Appreciate you. Love y'all. We out. Peace.